From The Godfather and its images of extreme violence, and Dago Pete, a despicable thief, to Tony Soprano today. Many Italian Americans feel they've been insulted time and again.
The entertainment industry shows us as buffoons, bigots, bimbos.
That was the subject of a landmark conference that attracted scholars, politicians, community leaders, and major entertainers, among them Joe Piscopo and Tony LoBianco.
You want to combat the image? Get the money up, ashkarol, ashkarol.
One very controversial topic: are actors responsible for the negative characters they so often portray?
Actors of Italian descent aid and abet the defamation that tarnishes the image of all Italian Americans.
It's the community's fault. It's the organization's fault. It's not the actor's fault.
Despite some differences, most participants agreed that Italian Americans are not treated fairly.
We're losing this battle. We're losing the war.
And that winning the war will require hard work from everyone.
It is an almost impossible task, but if we join together on all fronts, we could make our parents and our grandparents very proud.
The discussion began with a look back to an era when Italian immigrants were overtly ridiculed.
I wrote a book called WAP, a documentary history of anti-Italian discrimination. I found that discrimination and prejudice against Italian Americans was an old story.
The major moment, I think, for Italians in terms of the violence of lynchings was in 1891 in New Orleans, and 11 Italians were lynched in and around the parish prison.
This isn't just a part of history that occurred at a time when there was blatant racism, but this is a history that has had a damaging and profound effect on Italians.
I came to this country just before the war broke out. I was here just a little over a month when I started school. And this little chubby little boy said to me, "Oh, you're an American now. We have a new name for you." I said, "What's the name?" "WAP." So the next person asked me my name. I said, "WAP." And then I went home. I said, "Grandpa, guess what? I have a new name." And he said, "What's the name?" I said, "WAP." He gave me a whop across the face that I can still remember.
But what role did the media play in promoting anti-Italian stereotypes? One of Thomas Edison's very first films featured a character called Dago Pete. He brawled, stole from his boss, and was finally pointed out in court. How much have things changed?
On any given day, you will find a sinister or low-life individual of Italian extraction, an Italian-American man or woman, child or adult, committing some evil or antisocial deed.
Italian Americans are frequently shown as mobsters, especially since the hugely successful Godfather movies.
Once these messages are embedded in the mind, even proof to the contrary that they are false are to no avail. This problem continues because the Italian-American community is largely silent.
Part of the problem that I have with The Sopranos, The Godfather was 3 films and then that was it. And it was very clear that it was a mafia family. This purports to be the Italian family. It was advertised as the Italian family redefined. Whose family is that? That's not my Italian family.
The discussion grew most intense when the subject moved to Italian-American actors and their responsibility.
You know, our business, contrary to what people think of our business, is extremely difficult. You understand 95% of the actors who belong to a union are not working? So when you start asking actors to pick and choose roles that are offered them, understand what you're doing.
There are con artists. There are criminals. They'll say, that's the only way we know how to make a living, but we don't accept it. Go out and find another way to make a living.
It's the community's fault. It's the organization's fault. It's not the actor's fault. You're blaming the wrong end. Start supporting your writers. Start supporting the writers who are in Hollywood. Start supporting the people who want to build playhouses.
You don't blame the actor. He's a real actor. It's like blaming. It's like the other 2 years ago, they didn't allow Lorraine Bracco, who was playing a psychiatrist on a show, to march in this Columbus Day parade. We do not keep the Sopranos out of the Columbus Day parade because we don't like Lorraine Bracco and those people, but it's our political way of showing HBO that we believe that there should be more programming and positive programming with regard to Italian Americans. So it's really to let HBO know how we feel, not Lorraine Bracco.
Former Saturday Night Live star Joe Piscopo suggested that Italian-American actors should create more positive projects.
And, I'm new to this, I think, to the enlightening of the power and the prestige of Italian-Americans, because I can remember when I started out, I didn't even think about it on stage, portraying, doing the typical New Jersey Italian guy, and on Saturday Night Live, I could think of a particular sketch. I tell you, people come up to me, hey, Joe, I was like 2 years old and I saw you doing, and I think of it, and it was an Italian-American stereotype, and I am so embarrassed at it.
Another recent battle was over the animated film Shark Tale, where the mafia characters have Italian names and accents.
Steven Spielberg is an immensely talented individual. Did he have to use the Italians? And we don't put pressure, we really don't, to cause the change to take place.
In the case of Shark Tale, Italian-American organizations decided to put pressure, especially on Steven Spielberg, who has lectured against the dangers of stereotyping and discrimination against other ethnic groups.
And we worked very hard to fight Shark Tale, not to bring it down, because there was no way that we were going to stop DreamWorks. But we wanted to put their feet to the fire. We wanted to put them in a position where they were going to have to defend to the media why it was all right to create characters with Italian last names that were intimidating outlaws and gangsters.
Robert De Niro in Italy called us a bunch of stroons. I mean, what an insult to call us these names. We're whiners. We have a problem. We should get a life. And all we're trying to do is promote a better image for ourselves and for our children.